Today we're going to pull up ADP and look at the top veteran running backs to see how they should be valued, to see what they did last year, and look at their contracts, what they're doing on their team, and then we're making the decision on whether we should be buying, selling, or holding. We're also going to be looking at trades on the market, and we're going to be going over 40 veteran running backs. This is going to be a lengthy video, but I think this is something that needs done. A quick piece of content going over some of the top running backs in the league, going over possible trade situations that you could be going for in your dynasty leagues. If this is something that perks your ears up, smash that subscribe button right now. Take that finger and just give that a quick tap, because I'm dropping dynasty videos left and right, whether it be player clips, whether it be our basic trade videos, or new stuff like this. I'm trying to give you different stuff every day, and you know what? Working hard for you. You might as well hit that subscribe button, because it's just going to help you build your dynasty team, and it's a la carte. There's all kinds of videos. I'm dropping 3 or 4 videos a day. It's all good for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's move on, though. Let's start looking at this from player to player, and we do not have the rookies here. Per context, we left them out because we talked about them all offseason long, from January, February, March draft time. And the reason why they're not in here is because we talked about them so much that the veterans, I feel like, kind of got left behind. And we tried to throw them into those trade videos that we do every week for the running backs and wide receivers. But I feel like we need to hammer out the veterans, especially before we get in the training camp. We need to have this video out so we can get the trade analysis out here. Starting things off, RB2, Jonathan Taylor. Who do you think is RB1? It's Bijan Robinson. So we're going to start off with Jonathan Taylor. RB2, 6 overall. Looking at his points per game, looks like last 28 games, 19.1 fantasy points per game. Had some injuries last year. Looks like he had 4 RB1 weeks. Ton of RB1 weeks in 2021. Contract signed with the team through 2023. Going to be a free agent in 2024. Contract negotiations going to be funny with that, considering what we're seeing with Saquon Barkley right now. We'll get into him here in a bit. Looking at trades that have actually happened. Treylon Burks, 106 and 112. So 2 firsts, mid to late. And Treylon Burks is probably worth a first, depending on where we're at in the first, maybe a little bit more. Or a mid-first-ish or a little bit more, depending on what's going on in your league. Probably a first and some change. No one's going to give Treylon Burks away unless they don't like him. But some people will because they don't like him, because he's a controversial wide receiver from last year's class. 224 first, Greg Dulcich. The 102 straight up. Taylor T. Higgins and 204 for Bijan Robinson. That's what's going to take to move on from him to Bijan Robinson. Jonathan Taylor T. Higgins 204. That's very pricey. That was in the trade finder per DLF. These are real trades that happen. I'm not making this stuff up. So that's pricey to move on from Jonathan Taylor to Bijan Robinson. That's just a lot of price to go there. Again, next year, free agent, what's going to happen on the market? It's been kind of weird for these top-tier veteran running backs. These guys are huge talents. It's been very productive. Had an injury season last year. Going to a team with a new quarterback here with Anthony Richardson. So this year could be a little flaky. It could be awesome. Could be great. We don't know. We don't know. A lot of ambiguity here. We had ambiguity last year with Matt Ryan. Maybe it doesn't matter. As long as he's healthy on the field, getting touches, I'm sure he's going to do something for you, because he's one of those top-tier generational talent-esque running backs. When it comes to paying up for him in trades, we all know this. He's RB2 in Dynasty per ADP right here. It's expensive. He's expensive. You made some trades for him or with him or against him, whatever. You sold him, bought him, whatever. Let us know in the comments below. And do that with all the players that you made deals for. Let us know about those players, because those instances in the comments that you're dropping there help somebody else out. But looking at this, you got a good running back here. He's expensive, productive, come back from an injured season. Not much more you can really say about that. Jonathan Taylor's a good running back. No one's going to give him away. He's not very liquid. He's going to be a hard guy to make deals with. But again, you're going to have to pay like 3 firsts, maybe more. You're seeing that up top there. 224 firsts, 102. That's a ton. No, wait, that's not together. 224 firsts and Greg Dulcich. So 2 firsts and some change. We got about 3 firsts and some change up the first one. T. Higgins, 204 is what gets it done for Bijan Robinson in one deal. Maybe it's less than a lot. Probably is. But it gives you an idea of the psychology of a gamer who has Bijan Robinson. locked in there at the 101, and they're saying, hey, give me a Godfather offer, and that's a Godfather offer. That's too much. That's way too much. I'm not saying I would do any of these deals. A lot of them I probably wouldn't do. But if they happen, they happen. And if they happen, you might want to look at them, know about them, think about them. Moving on to our next guy here, Christian McCaffrey, RB3, 8 overall. Productive last year, even with the change of teams. Productive. High-end rushing production, high-end receiving production. Looking at that contract, the Niners have a potential. Wait. Looking at that contract here, he's locked in with the Niners for a bit. It's kind of iffy and gray due to that trade, but he's locked in there for a bit. Very productive Christian McCaffrey. We know he's an older running back. That's the story behind this. The story for his dynasty value. Still getting drafted in the first round dynasty startups right now per ADP. That's likely to change by this time next year. That's likely to change. So if you're drafting now, think of that. If you're testing the market a lot in your leagues, or you're just going to enjoy the prospect here of him getting you production, because look at all those green lines of RB1 weeks. Green means RB1, black, gray, whatever you want to call that is RB2. Red is RB3 plus. So red's the down games. When I talk about a player having this many RB1 weeks, this many RB2 weeks, I'm talking about this RotoViz app. Here, this is where I grabbed that data from. Now you're getting a visual here for context. Some trades. Austin Eckler, Gabe Davis. Austin Eckler's not too far down in ADP. Juju Smith-Schuster in the 2024 third. I do not know what's going on with that guy. I do not know how that happened, but maybe they owe each other money or something. Drake London, straight up. Might be able to get a bit more on that. Cam Akers, George Pickens in a third. A lot to digest there. 107 and a 2024 first. Seems right-ish. Seems right. Let me know what you'd pay for him or what you'd expect to see on the market. I feel like since he's an older running back, and even though he's been productive, even though he's been one of the top running backs in the league for a long time, we've had some injury woes with him recently, you might be able to sneak some deals, but also with him being older, with him being productive, like I've been saying, older, productive players, they're not as liquid as what you think. One, from league to league, those rebuilding teams, they've already moved on from them. The people that have them are either in the running or they're a win-now team, and they got high hopes for this year, and they want to win money, and you got a guy here with all kinds of green on their chart here with RB1 weeks. You're not going to give that away for free, and you're not going to pay up for somebody who's aging if you're rebuilding because you know he's going to be close to out of the league. I don't know how long he's going to be in the league, for honest, but his trade value is dropping and dropping perceivably, or his value perceivably year by year. With him, you can see that happening soon, even though he's been holding on tight. He's been holding on tight. But, for instance, win-now teams, rebuilding teams are going to have different ways of looking at him. So when you look at trade finders, you look at calculators, you also got to think about liquidity of players. How easy are they to trade? Are they even tradable? A lot of leagues, if he's on win-now teams, he's not tradable because I got a win-now team. I'm in a spot to win money. I'm not going to sell him at some of these discounted prices. I'm going to want a lot for him because he values more to me because I know I'm in the run and win some money this year. I want to pay for those Christmas presents. Coming in RB4, Breece Hall coming back from the knee injury. But look at those points from last year. 2 big RB1 weeks, both in the 20-point mark. And before the knee injury, he was popping off. He was going to have a huge year last year, even a bunch of RB2 weeks. As the build-up for that 16.7 PPR points per game. Very valuable. And we're watching on the clips here. I have 3 of them from OTA's minicamp. And looks like he's progressing pretty good. Rumors of him run 22 miles per hour. That's pretty good considering what he went through. Locked in on the contract for a bit. Safe assets as long as he doesn't have any relapses with the knee or anything. Looking good. Trades straight up for Drake London. 108, 109. Bryce Young and 2 QB. That seems about right because 2 QB in this rookie draft is pretty high. 107, 109, 112. Jalen Waddle. I would expect him to be expensive. I expect three firsts. I would expect expensive players. I expect high-end rookie quarterbacks out of the rookie draft because they're holding 102, 103, 104 value. I expect him to be up there. I expect him to be expensive. I expect him to be hard to get. I'm expecting him to hold value. Even with the knee injury, this is proof or discourse of a young player who is good, that if they have something like that impact them, they hold their value, if not build it. Brees Hall here, RB4, 9 overall, drafted, first round pick, first rounder. Should hold that. As long as he's on the field, he should hold that, even if there's a build up. There is talks that Israel Abakanda might get some touches early on. That came out. Don't know how true that is because it is Twitter, and I hold Twitter with a ton of grain of salt, like salt-based status. I don't even consider it real anymore. But Brees Hall, I look for him to have a decent season. I look for him to show us some stuff. Let's just say that. Because if I say decent season, context could be different. I look for him to come back, show us some stuff, make us happy. Let's just say that. Moving on, RB5, 13 overall, Saquon Barkley. Man, that contract situation is getting hard. I've been working on this presentation for a bit, and the contract feelings toward him, the feelings towards his contract here, is getting kind of weird now compared to the last few days or so when I was working on this. Again, he's been productive. Start of his career, after that rookie season, injuries have been hard. Last year, though, production. He's letting you know what he can do when he's healthy, looking good. After going through the seasons of injury, if I was going through that and I just had a pop-off year and I know I'm one of the best running backs in the league and I felt that way, I'd want to get my money too, because that's what you should be doing. You should be trying to get your money. You should be trying to get it right economically. That's what you should be doing there. Again, running backs, the market's weird with them. RB5, 13 overall in Dynasty. And we're going to have to see what happens here. Trades, that has happened. Michael Pittman, Greg Dulcich, 2026 first. 2026 is a long time away. 302, 2024 first, and a second. 106 straight up, 103 straight up. I feel like the 106 straight up is a pretty decent deal if you're looking for a running back. It's got some pop. Garrett Wilson. I want to hold on to Garrett Wilson really tight in these dynasty leagues, especially startup drafts. If I can get a hold of him in a startup draft, I'm golden. If I can sneak away with him on a trade, I'm golden. I don't see him being very liquid. I just would not deal him away. I don't feel like I can get any trades with him. I feel like he's going to be a rising asset age, what he's done recently, what we're going to see going forward. Saquon Barkley, though, again, RB5 running back. It's going to be expensive, but we're also seeing some ambiguity here where his contract status could be a game changer for us. That could be a thing. Moving on to our next guy, RB7. We had some rookies in there. Let me know who you think it is. Kenneth Walker, coming off the board, 23 overall. He was very productive last year, giving us some good weeks, some double-digit fantasy scoring weeks, 13.5 PPR points per game. But again, we had a ramp up there, so that kind of impacts that. And then we also had the injury. That's something to look at now. They drafted Zach Charbonnet. We got the depth chart right there. Also, Kenny McIntosh. A lot of people love Kenny McIntosh. Seattle Seahawks fans love Kenny McIntosh. Trades that's been made, Derrick Henry, Jameson Williams in a second, 1 or 2 Kyron Williams, Devonta Smith, 2024 first. The RB7 price tag is a little bit of a drop after the draft. We have to see in this next set of ADP if that drops even farther, because sometimes that trends down a little bit more. It takes time for ADP to do that over time. So we're going to look at that for Kenneth Walker due to the drafting of Zach Charbonnet. There's a lot of people still talking up Kenneth Walker, but we got to watch that. Still expensive considering they brought in Zach Charbonnet, but a little cheaper. Looking at some of the prices below, you're seeing that. You see Zach Charbonnet on the roster. Kenny McIntosh is a cheap get as well in leagues. Pretty interesting to look at. Looking at the wide receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jack Smith, and Jigba. His team is stacking up on the offense. They're stacking up when you look at it that way. But he was productive last year. He might still be able to roll on you. Coming here at RB8, Travis Etienne. We're looking at his receiving totals from last year. 33 balls caught, 299 yards per RotoViz. 8% target share, pretty decent for a running back. 43 targets, 4 RB1 games. I don't usually count week 18, but it's there on the graph. Some RB2 games as well, productive. 12.4 PPR points per game. Also had a ramp up there as well. RB8, 27 overall. So still being held valuable in fantasy, held valuable in Dynasty, even after them drafting Tank Bigsby. Trades here, DeAndre Hopkins in a first. Devonta Smith. Kyle Pitts. George Kittle in a second. 2024 first. 2 seconds, a third, a 2024 first, 2 seconds, then a third rounder, and a fourth rounder in this year's draft. That's a lot to take in there, but you're getting a first and a bunch of other picks there. Travis Etienne, still holding value, still can be used in the passing offense, still very explosive, still going to be a guy that you're going to want in a lot of your leagues, still holding his value pretty well too. RB9, Austin Eckler. Age and contract status is a big thing with him. He is still productive, though, at his age. Still looking good with the shirt off as well. We're still getting into the higher years of his career. We're in age 28 per the chart below from Spot Track. 29, he'll be a free agent. Looks like that's more than likely going to happen. I can't predict the future. Contracts can be sticky things, so don't try and make predictions on those. But considering the discourse from this offseason, more likely going to happen. RB9, 30 overall in drafts. Trades that have been made. Jamal Williams in a first. Pierre Strong in a first. George Pickens in a fourth. 303, 2024 first. Zay Flowers and Jaden Reed. So he's cheap compared to the production, but also the value is falling a little bit considering what we saw this offseason, considering his age, considering what we're seeing here with the contract. Very ambiguous. Of course, win now teams want him. Win now teams want him. Rebuilding teams, retooling teams don't. So you kind of got a divide here in leagues. About half the leagues kind of want him, or maybe 3 out of 4 teams in every 12-team league wants him. The rest kind of don't. Might be some people in the middle, and they want to catch a deal. They don't want to pay up. RB10, Josh Jacobs, 31 overall. Again, drafted around Eckler. Again, contract status is important. Age is kind of good still. Production really ramped up last year. 19.4 PPR fantasy points per game. Had a lot of green there with the RB1 weeks. Value-wise on the trade market, 2024 first and a third, 108, and a 2024 second, 2024 first. It's first straight up. Random first next year. 110 and 310, 108 and 208. Considering if we get that chart up top there with the green this year, those are some good values for most of those. If you're looking at it that way, really want to see how this contract status unfolds. Looks like he's got some years on us. However, the injury history, we can never forget about that. From Alabama, early days here with the Raiders. However, he has been productive. He has been more productive than what people realize too over years. So you got to think Josh Jacobs could be a decent deal considering where he's going at ADP versus the trade market. Trade market's cheaper than ADP right now. Cheaper to get in trades. However, when you think about that, when you get that little sticking point there, that means it's not very liquid either. Because if I have him and I'm a win now team, I know I can get this production, and I know the trade market's iffy, I'm just going to hold. You got to think of psychology. We're not here to say this guy is a buy now, this guy's a sell now, we're going to do this, player good, player bad. It's looking at the psychology of the consumer, the psychology of the seller, and trying to make guesses, because when you're doing content for hundreds or thousands of people, you kind of want to put yourself in everybody's shoes, so you kind of cast a wide net. That way, going over the psychology, going over things that actually happen, and just going over the basis is what you want to do in this situation to help as many people as possible. The fluidity of him being sold in the market, I don't think it's really there. I think he's a guy that's being held hostage on a lot of teams. RB11, Najee Harris here. Contract's interesting here because you got 2 more years there unless they take on the 5th-year option. Productive here is kind of seeing something that's not too bad, but when you look at the hype from last year, really underwhelmed. Let's say that 13.4 PPR points per game. Got some double-digit weeks, some RB1 weeks, 3 of them. Don't count that last one, week 18. We ain't setting lineups then. Plus, you're playing DFS, which I do. But looking at this, production's not too shabby. He was playing injured a lot of the season. He was sharing the backfield a little bit. What if he comes in healthy? What if things ramp up a little bit? That could happen. The price tag here in ADP is okay. We got at least 2 more years, maybe 3. Who knows what they'll do with the 5th-year option. We're looking forward to that. What if we get a ramp up this year? However, the price tag here on trades, Cam Akers 111, Desmond Ridder in 2 QB, a 2024 first, James Cook in 110, Russ Wilson in 2 QB. Prices are not horrendous. He's gettable, it looks like. But again, if I had him and my team's middle of the road or a little better, I'm not looking to deal. I'm looking to hold. So that kind of tells me RB11, price tag and ADP. Trade market's a little soft. There might be some deals to be had, but I imagine a lot of people are holding them close to their chest on the market, more of a hold, and they're seeing what happens because they can see volume, they see first round pick, they see what happened at Alabama. They saw some production last year. It wasn't totally off the cliff. They were just expecting all green here. That didn't happen. Maybe we get it back. Remember, he's going to be coming back healthy potentially. Maybe that's helpful for us. Maybe not. Again, maybe this is an out point. The price is a lot cheaper now compared to last year. Price is a ton cheaper. Do with that with what you want to do. Moving on to our next running back, Tony Pollard. The contract here is very interesting because we know we're in the short term with the Cowboys. How much longer, we don't know. I'm sure they don't feel good after the Ezekiel Elliott contract, so re-signing him for the long term might not be in the cards. Just might not be. And they went cheap at running back in the draft this year. Production is huge. Coming back from that injury is huge. All things sounds good, but we do not know till we're in camp, till we're taking carries in preseason, week 1. We don't know for sure, but everything sounds good. Value-wise on the market, 2024 first and Josh Downs, so a first and a second, maybe early third-ish. 2024 first and a 2024 second. Dalvin Cook, Raheem Mostert, 110, 208, and 108. So he's got some value, but also probably a few weeks ago, you probably could have gotten him a little cheaper due to the ambiguity of the injury, especially right before the draft. But looking at this, you got a running back here that's a little bit cheaper, has some upside. If he's healthy, they're going to use him. They did not bring in any running backs of consequence this offseason. That's an indicator that they feel good about him, because if they were feeling nervous, they would have brought somebody in. Zeke's still in the market. Every day gets a little bit cheaper. Let's see how that goes as well. RB13, 40 overall, Ramondre Stevenson. Had a lot of green on the charts. A lot of RB1 weeks. This is an interesting running back right here because he's on the Patriots. We haven't had a running back here really take over for a bit for them. Looking at here, 16 games played, had 83 targets. Third most among running backs last year. Used in the passing game, which is also propelling his fantasy production, which is good to see. I imagine since as long as he's healthy, he's going to be getting the rock. I feel like this is a good get for him, especially for short term. I think he's really good. I look at most running back short-term assets because things flip really quick due to how the NFL markets with them, how they look at them as value. Trade values here with them. Mac Jones, 2 QB. 2024 first, 2024 first and Jerome Ford. Calvin Ridley, 2024 first and a second. So a 2024 first, maybe some change, maybe a little bit more. You're lucky if you get a little bit less. Considering those trades, it's not like there's like 30, 40, 50 of them there, but considering that, it kind of makes sense. RB13 here, you're starting to get a little bit deeper in the weeds, but I can make a case how he can help you out big time this year. I can really make that for you. Him using the pass game, him getting volume, Damien Harris gone. Maybe some of the younger guys step up and do a little bit more. Production is huge here. They're probably going to want to lean on him. They're probably going to ride him heavy. He's probably going to get road heavy. They're probably going to use some of the other running backs as well. You also got James Robinson there. You got some guys. Ramondre Stevenson, though, look at what he did last year. I look for something similar this year as well. RB14, Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's gone. They look like they're going to be passing it more. He might get more production in the passing game. Just trickled to him. Just out of happening. RB14, 42 overall. Very productive. Contract. Potential out after this year. You got to be leery of that. Might be on a different team. We know how running backs are being valued. We might see him hit the market. Maybe not. Maybe they let him ride out through that 2024 year. Trades here. 2025 first. DeAndre Swift in 111. 201. Terry McLaurin 306 and 310. And then a 109. So we have got some value here. But there are deals where you can go for cheaper than realized. That being said, might not be too liquid on the market because if you got Nick Chubb, you got Nick Chubb. You know the market's like this, and you're probably just holding to see what happens. And if you're a rebuilding team, you probably stayed away from him or you already dealt him away. So more than likely, he's not very liquid on the market. That's what I'm thinking about. Those are deals we look at here. DeAndre Swift in 111 seems like a pretty decent deal. Seems fair 2025 first, 2024 first, say that. Terry McLaurin and some change, 109. We know we're getting an older, productive running back, and we're just trying to see what happens here. RB14 is a good deal in ADP for a guy like this. However, you're starting out your league, and whatever's left on the board, too. So think about that. 42 overall, there's still some other players on the board. So looking at it that way, that might not be the best deal. So now I just conflicted myself, but you use that information for what you want to do. RB15, J.K. Dobbins. A lot of people talking him up right now. A lot of people looking at him as a back-end guy in redraft. Started to ramp things up towards the end of the deal. We had that knee injury. Another year removed from that. Another offseason going on. We saw some workout clips on Instagram. I'll try and get that up on the channel whenever I can. RB15, 49 overall right now in startup drafts. Contract, free agent after this season. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting to see what happens with him, considering the market running back. Trades, Michael Pittman straight up, George Pickens in 104, Devontae Parker 104 in a second, 109 and Rondale Moore, Zamir White 104. So he's still holding some value, still holding a lot of value. A lot of people are still interested in him. I don't see him being moved in the market like that. I don't see him being sold like that. I see him holding value like that. Like, I'm not selling him unless I get 104 or a mid-first. I'm not giving him away because I see volume here. I saw the athleticism. We saw these last few weeks. We saw that. The time to buy cheap on him was when this graph was empty. That was the time to buy cheap on him. And prior to the season, now people are holding their cards tight till they seal a little bit more. And that makes sense. And when you see this graph next year, if it happens to be looking like this, then you'll be able to catch a discount again. RB16, Javonte Williams, coming back from injury. I showed you the clips. I showed you clips from OTAs, saying he's limited here. Knees still wrapped up. Ramping things up clip by clip. Still not 100%. Still not 100% full to go. We're not seeing huge cuts. We're not seeing him sprint on a full clip right now. Can be productive. This is him from 2021 to 2022. We can get some RB1 games out of him. As we know, he's a rumbler. The price is what's interesting. 2024 first and some change, it looks like. First and a second for next year's draft. People want their young running backs. If he's on your team this long, you're not looking to deal him now because you already had him on there for so long. So you're not looking to deal. So liquidity really isn't going to be there with Javonte Williams. Next is Derrick Henry, older running back. Contract's going to be interesting here soon, as you can see below. Still productive at his ripe old age. Trades 111, 2024 first, 2024 second, and Chase Brown 110, 111, and Stephon Diggs. You can get him for a decent price tag if you want production now. Win now teams usually got 111, 110. If you need another running back, that might happen for you. You got the 111 and a little bit more, you might be able to do that as a win now team. You might be able to get that done. That's something you may want to look at. Win now teams usually have late first round picks. That's something you can think of. You don't always have to rebuild. You can always look for these guys to help you get through that window, maybe get to another championship. Here we go. RB18, Rachaad White. Interesting here. They did not bring any competition of consequence here. Chase Edmonds, Keyshawn Vaughn, Patrick Laird, Ronnie Brown, not the old school Ronnie Brown, and Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker's the guy we're keeping an eye on, but we're talking about Rachaad White right now. RB18 had some good moments last year. Trades, 106 Curtis Samuel, 106 Rachaad White. Antonio Gibson straight up, 209 in 2024 first, 2024 second, and a third. I look for this price to increase as we get closer to end season. I look for the increase because people are going to see the potential volume, and people are going to hold that closer to their chest. They're going to hold it more. Also, I don't see him being liquid because they're going to see they got a younger running back here. RB18 ADP, might as well enjoy the production and see what happens. And if he starts being even more productive, they're going to sell for even more. That's what I'm thinking on that. RB19, DeAndre Swift. Now he's got the number 0 for the Eagles. Here we're seeing, what is this? Targets per game here. Things ramped up at the end of the year when he's healthy. He's getting a lot of targets per game. Some 6, some 9, some 7, some 5. So he is using the passing game. When he's healthy, he can be productive. As you can see, multiple double-digit point weeks. Some RB1 weeks, 4 of them last year, and 3 RB2 weeks. So he's giving you something, and he's in this Eagles backfield with Rashad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, and company. So this is going to be a different team, more fluidity in the offense. They should move the ball more. Trades that have been done James Cook straight up, Gabe Davidson 212, 2024 first, Ramondre Stevenson straight up, and Najee Harris straight up. So he can be expensive and he can be cheap. So markets are different in each league. If you want them or you want to unload them, you're just going to have to kick tires, see what happens. You might be able to catch him at a good discount. You more than likely are going to see him being expensive. And you're probably going to have a hard time getting a deal done. Well, that's all right. We're going over like 40 running backs today. So pick your choice here. RB20, Dameon Pierce. A lot of people looking at him right now. Got the backfield pretty much to himself right now. As you look below, Devin Singletary, the only other running back of consequence there. But we also have some other jabronis. RIP Iron Sheik. But very productive last year. RB2, really, most weeks. 3 RB1 weeks. 13.1 PPR points per game. There's some usage in the passing game. A couple of them getting, a few games actually, getting more than 5 targets. Trades to make, James Cook, Gabe Davidson 212, a 2024 first, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris. Those are the same trades as the Swift, so I did not update that. So let's just go off the rip here because I know what this is going to look like. It's going to look similar to Swift, but a little different because not everyone's full go on to Dameon Pierce, because the reason why they're not full go on Dameon Pierce is the draft capital. But if you're a win now team, you're holding him closer to you because you want that production. And I think most teams are going to want him a little bit anyways. And I feel like he's going to give you the production this year. If you need it for this year, go after it. I wouldn't try selling him right now. I feel like selling him right now is going to be a little bit harder to do. And also selling him right now won't net you the same results as you will get come training camp, preseason, start of the season. As people look at those touches coming up, they come back, look at this depth chart, they look at what happened last year, and they're like, okay, and we got a better quarterback play coming up. His price is going to start trickling up a little bit, be a little bit more liquid. That's when I would look to sell him. Buying him might be good now. Right now, I feel like this would be a good time to strike. Might be one of the last few times to strike. Prior to the draft was the best time, obviously. RB21 right now, Joe Mixon, 71 overall here. Has some RB1 weeks of last year. Had that huge one of 55 points. Contract status is interesting as you see below. George Pickens, 306, 209, 412 is one deal. 2024 second, 2025 second, 2024 first. Keenan Allen, short-term production is what you're looking at here. Looks like he's going cheap, but imagine he's not super fluid. People are just waiting to see what happens with him, seeing what's going on with him. There was some off-the-field stuff with him as well. That might have slowed some stuff down, but this Bengals offense is something you're always going to want. Price tag looks right if you want a short-term running back. Coming here at RB22, 73 overall, Aaron Jones. We have more green than what you expect here, but we have Jordan Love now. Different team. This is going to look different. We're with the team this year still, but the contract status isn't for the long term here as you look at his age as well. Not a young stallion anymore. Trades, 2024 first and J.D. McKissick, 2024 second and 2024 fourth. 24 first, Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, 203, 108. A little bit all over the place. Looks like late first, early second round range-ish. Somewhere around there. Like the other older running backs, you're catching them at kind of a discount, but you know it's a short-term play, more for win-now teams, less likely for rebuilding teams. RB23, 74 overall, we're looking at Cam Akers, ramped up at the end of the season, coming back from injury, started to get more trust, and then we had more fluidity in the offense as we shipped away that other running back, Henderson, mid-season. Contract status, going to be a free agent next year. They might run him to the ground. They might do that. Zach Evans is there in line. They drafted him this year late. Right now, trademark 202, 109 Jordan Mason, 301 in 2024 first, 2025 first, and 112. Can be gettable on the market if you want them. Can be gettable, but can be expensive as well. So you're just going to have to kick the tires. That's what we're seeing from here. Well, we saw some production. Might be on the comeback. Might not. My guess is they might be looking at this and they might be saying, hey, we got a strong end of last year. We didn't really bring in any of the running backs. Let's run him to death and let's retool this running back position next year. Coming on here, Dalvin Cook. Question marks because this is May ADP. got cut. However, this should have been baked in a little bit. The trades here, though. The trades are recent. They're over the weekend. Pierre Strong in 2024 second, 2024 first, and 111 still holding value. People are still holding hope. That was baked in prior to the trade because we heard rumors of this going on. Obviously, when you look at the contract status, you kind of saw that coming. We saw this coming. We see the production. You want to see where he goes, so you're not going to give him away. Still, you're getting a little bit of a discount. RB25 right now, Miles Sanders. You're looking at a guy that could be cheaper than what you think right now. Derrick Henry, Rashad White and Zach Evans, Deontay Johnson, 2024 first and second, and 112. This offense is retooling. Rookie quarterback, we got to see what happens here. Contract, he signed for a bit as well. For an older running back, you're getting a little bit of insurance here. They want to use him. You also have a potential out after 2024. Could be a free agent after 2024 is what I'm saying here. However, the money difference from 2024 and 2025 and forward, not too much difference after 2024. So we're going to have to see what happens here. But older running back here with a new team with an okay contract here for fantasy. Something we want to keep an eye on. Also, the price tag looks like it's gettable as well. Had a good season last year. One of the best of his career. Had a lot of injuries throughout his career as well. Something you want to think about because those could pop right back up again. Again, I'm not saying it's buy or sell. The price is okay. The price is just getting better as we go down the line, honestly. The contract's okay. You're at least getting 2 years out of this. You're at least getting 2 seasons out of this buy. You're probably paying a late first, maybe a late first and some change. Maybe a wide receiver that's one of many that you got, and you're just moving forward. RB25 and ADP, so less than an RB2 in value there per startup drafts. RB27, 79 overall, Isaiah Pacheco. Signed for a bit with the Chiefs. We got some production, especially on the back end of the season. Although he's a late-round rookie, so you expect that if he's going to be productive. Big rise in value. Still cheap on the market. Cheap guy to get. If you are a rebuilding team and you need a running back, you got Aaron Jones, you probably want to trade your older assets for a younger asset. Noah Fant, that doesn't make sense to me. Deontay Johnson's being dealt for everything. 204, Zach Charbonnet, so second rounders for Isaiah Pacheco. That tells me early, mid-second rounder can be the price tag to get here. Aaron Jones is somewhere around that range as well. I remember from that slide as well. Down there, depth chart. Jerry McKinnon's back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire already got beat by him last year. Deneric Prince is a guy you're going to want to pay attention to. RB29 is James Cook. Things are interesting on this depth chart. Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, Nyheim Hines. Pay attention in camp this year because things could get murky there. Latavius Murray is good enough to piss us off, but not good enough to take things over. Take that for what you want to take it for. Contract status is great. Obviously, he's in his second year. 1 RB 1 week last year. Saw a ramp up in production or usage in the passing game last year as well. Trades, 112, 311 and 207, 2025 first, Jahan Dotson, DeAndre Swift. He's expensive compared to what he's worth in startup drafts. He's a guy you may want to kick the tires either way on, though. If you want to buy him, see if he's cheap. If you want to sell him, see if he's expensive. See if you can deal him for more than what you think he's worth. See what happens with that. Young running backs in a good offense. You might be able to catch something back. You're not trying to give him away, though. You're trying to get him overpriced. Going over here, RB31, 90 overall in drafts. 3 RB1 weeks. A lot of people down on A.J. Dillon because he was a breakout candidate last year and didn't break out. That might means he does it this year. Going to be a free agent next year. Still got some pop in that step. Good size, adjusted athleticism. The price is cheap here. Rashad Bateman, Jacoby Myers in the third, Mike Evans, 2024 second and fourth, Elijah Moore in the third. So if you need a running back, you need another running back to add to your core. You don't want to pay up. You want to get a discount, but you don't want to be too cheap. A.J. Dillon's that. He's that running back you buy that you don't want to be too cheap on, and you're speculating a little bit because look at all the red there. Look at all the red there. Don't ignore that. That could happen again. Loves that quarterback right now. This offense is a little different. However, the price, even if that happens, it's not going to kill your team. It's not going to sink you. It's not going to hurt you for long term. You're going to be okay if this happens. If he goes red on you next year, you paid one of these price tags, a second and a fourth or something like that, you're going to be okay. RB32, 91 overall, Brian Robinson. Mark's telling us that, hey, we're not too enthused right now. second round picks, DJ Moore, Mark Andrews. I don't know what's happening there. Who made that deal? RB32, 91 overall. Signed with team for a bit. They're bringing in other running backs. Chris Rodriguez, however, late round pick, 6th rounder. You also have Antonio Gibson there as well. Probably going to be a mix-up here. Probably going to get his volume. Another cheap running back can get you off and on double-digit fantasy scoring weeks. Probably going to be used up the gut a lot. Probably going to get those carries. That's something you're going to look at. Probably going to give you a headache. But at this price tag, you're not buying him to be Jonathan Taylor. You're just buying him as a patch-up piece. And you're just paying a little bit more to get that. RB33, Alvin Kamara. People are just waiting to see what happens with him due to the off-the-field issues here. Contracts really interesting here going forward as well. 95 overall in draft trades. Brian Robinson III, a 4th-round rookie pick. Mac Jones and 2 QB. Darnell Mooney and some picks. He's cheap because people don't want to invest in an older running back who's going through this. So we see the transitioning happen. Look at the scoring from last year, a little bit lower as well. 14.6 fantasy points per game. RB34, David Montgomery, a discounted running back right now. A cheap guy to get. If you're looking for a guy that's going to get touches and you're just drafting touches for the short term, you're looking like you're more than likely going to get 2 years. Could sneak into being 3 years as you're moving forward with him. Productive last year with the Bears. Not super productive. We're not talking about an RB1 guy. About 10, 11 fantasy points per game is what you're buying here. You might be able to get a little bit more. You might be able to get more red zone looks. You're on a more high-powered offense here. This could be a sneaky bet. Could be a sneaky bet. I mean, a 2024 third. Someone got Cortland Sutton, who's older. Sky Moore in 2024 second, so like 2 seconds or a second and third or something like that. 204 is a little bit high, or it might be the right price. Might be right in the middle. Not 2024 third, Cortland Sutton. You got some deals here to work out. Doesn't work out for you. Hey, we're talking about 40 players here. You got somebody here. Next, Alexander Madison. Question mark on 114 overall in ADP because that's going to increase, even though it's baked in already in there. Looking at the splits here, 20.38 points per game when Dalvin Cook's out. That's been 6 games. Extrapolate that over a full season. That's going to be a little bit less. One thing you say, he's going to get workload, he's going to get touches, and that's going to make him valuable. The time to buy him was months ago. It's over now. You're not buying him now. Don't do it. Don't do it now. Kick yourself for not doing it. Maybe get him in best ball or something like that, and on the underdog, do that. That day's over. It's over. His price is up there. Whoever has him's holding him hostage unless you're trying to get out. However, these are recent trades from over the weekend. 2024 first, a 210 Drake London and a first. Those are the reactionary trades. So when something like that happens, you kick the tires, see what happens. That's why I kept that in there. 2024 second and third, Cam Akers. So he's not super liquid, that's what I'm saying. Because those trades are either really low or really high. People ain't really moving them on the market. That's what that's telling me right now. Because you saw a bump in value. When you see a bump in value like that, you want to shoot for that Drake London 2021 trade. That's not going to happen 100 times, maybe one time out of 1,000. But if you do it every time, something's going to land on you. Something's going to land on you. RB38, James Conner, 115 overall. The thing about him is he's a buy, he's a sell. He's a risk, too, because of the age, injury history, the price, 208, 211, 25 second. I'm going to say the price went up a little bit. The price has went up. His price is going to increase throughout the offseason as we get closer to the season, as people look at these touches. They're like, oh, he's a buy low, and the price just inches up. You're looking at value. You're looking at him getting through the season and being the full-time guy here because there's no one of consequence behind him. Good value here. However, age, good time to sell off as well. Great time to sell off because you're seeing that value inch up. You can get a 2024 second right now, maybe a little bit more early in season. RB39, 119 right now. Khalil Herbert's contract status is interesting. Price tag is free to a little bit expensive from 209 to Terrace Marshall, Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney's worth like a third to fourth round pick as we went over him on trades the other day. Clyde Edwards-Helaire in 302, so 2/3 right there, or whatever you want to call that. Can be productive. Was injured last year. Again, him, Donta Foreman, Rashawn Johnson. We're looking for Rashawn Johnson to take over the backfield, but he will be the change of pace guy no matter what if that happens and can be productive. Going on to RB40, 120 overall, Antonio Gibson. People are talking him up. He's dirt cheap, highly athletic, getting volume, can be productive, as you can see right there on the charts. Base salary says he's going to be a free agent next year. Him and Brian Robinson's going to be sharing the load, but this could mean that Chris Rodriguez could be a buy for next year. Maybe more like a speculation buy. You could always bring in other running backs because we're going to have a huge free agency class next year. That's another video for next year. Trades that happened. Gus Edwards in 203, Chuba Hubbard in 305, Zonovan Knight in 203, Dalton Schultz, and Zay Jones. So everything's looking good right there. Moving on to the next guy, RB42, Jamal Williams, going to a new team with the Saints. Again, we don't know what's happening with Kamara. Him with the Saints could mean that he's getting a lot of touches. Kendre Miller, we're looking for him to take a step up sometime this year, early next year, sometime soon. Contract status is for 2 years, potential out after 2024, but could be for 3. Could be for 3, is how I read that. Was very productive last year. Touchdown City was his name. RB42, 128 overall. Trades are cheap. Tank Dell in a 7th and a 4th. Trey Lance in 1 QB. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 210, 201. He's going to get volume here, no matter what. Unless Alvin Kamara's back and they're mixing Miller, that could be a problem. I think he's going to get volume here. I think he's going to be a good patch-up back. I look at his production prior to what happened last year, maybe a little bit more than that. I don't think we're going to get last year's production. I look for him to get touches, and I think this is a cheap way to get some touches as a guy, as a filler on the back end of your running back depth chart, or the middle part of that, or whatever you want to call that. RB43 is Rashad Penny. Look at the chart, and you'll see that on most of his career. He's been injured a lot. He's going to be a free agent after this year. 1-year prove-it deal with the Eagles. It's going to be hard to invest in him. Everyone's speculating. He's a cheap speculation, though. 3rd, 4th round rookie pick, as you can see there. Maybe some change, maybe more than that. I would not pay up for him. 211, you still got some young guys there that you can speculate on that might be able to give you more. This depth chart, Swift, Gainwell, him, Boss Scott, Trey Sermon, Kennedy Brooks. Very ambiguous, but also is tough, too. If he's healthy, he could roll, though. He could roll huge. That's the speculation piece of that. He could roll huge. He could roll snake eyes, though, and give you 0. That's the thing. He can give you that. He can give you that what we saw last year. We saw mostly of that throughout his career. RB44, Samaje Perine going to the Broncos. Javonte Williams is on the mend right now. He could start off the year as the guy. Cheap. 3rd round, 4th round rookie picks and some change. That's what we're looking at here. A cheap player. 3 RB1 weeks last year with the Bengals. If you had him in best ball, you always had those Chef Kiffs moments. Again, potentially a 1-year deal with the Broncos could mean more. RB47, Damian Harris. And he seemed like the ultimate buy, and then Latavius Murray could be good enough to piss us off. However, he's with the Bills. Bills got a ton of upside here, and some deals have went down with him between Cooks, Edwards, Myers, 4th. 309 Wentz. He's still cheap. Still cheap in the market. If you're looking to get into the Bills offense, this could be the way to do it. RB47, it's not like you're paying anything for him other than opportunity costs at other positions. RB48, Elijah Mitchell. The one thing you can say is this team's built to use the running back because of Christian McCaffrey. Something happens to Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell's going to be the guy because they're not going to fall on Jordan Mason, Tyron Price, or anybody else. Elijah Mitchell is a good insurance policy for Christian McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell should have his moments as well throughout the season because this guy can score fantasy points on one play. All it takes is one run. He's got you double-digit fantasy points because of that speed. He's a home run hitter. We want them home run hitters. Coming up here, RB49, Devin Singletary. Falling back. Interesting offense. Could be getting some usage here behind Dameon Pierce as the change of pace guy. Again, cheap. 3rd round rookie pick range. 3rd round, 4th rounder. More like 305 to 308-ish is what it looks like here. Samaje Perine, Desmond Ridder, and a bunch of 3rd round picks. Shows up. He can be productive, but is very spotty and is only there for 1 more year. Also not getting younger. Last running back of the day, Kenneth Gainwell. DeAndre Swift's there. Going to steal some of his role. But again, he's with the team through 2024. He can be used in passing situations. Swift has not been healthy throughout his career. He can be somewhat productive. He's free. Other than Nico Collins, I'd rather have Nico Collins. I mean, you can get him for a cheap price tag if you want him. But again, that's a speculation play, depth play, not a guy you're leaning on type of play. But that's it. Those are the veteran running backs for trade in your leagues. Look at the values, kick the tires. Tell me what's going on with you. I want to hear what you've traded in the comments section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll talk to you later.